Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're here again at Strikers Lanes in Sunrise, Florida, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new release from Radical called the Torpedo. So it's not often that I get to do reviews of bowling balls, and I have no idea what they're going to do because this ball has a core that I haven't thrown yet. I don't think it's a core that they use in any other stuff, Jamal.
I don't think so as well.
It's called the Torpedo core, because the ball is the Torpedo. But it's a lower RG, higher differential, strong core. It's an HK22 Cohesion plus cover. I'm assuming plus means it's more than not plus, I guess. So I'm expecting a strong asymmetric pearl reaction from this ball, but I haven't thrown it yet, so I have really no idea. So you guys will be just as surprised as I am when it gets down the lane, and we'll see what it does. So Jamal's here. He's going to be helping out with some of the commentary, and we will see what this ball does. So let's go out to the lanes and give her a spin.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one, man.
Okay, so we're here at Strikers Lanes, and we're going to take our first shots with the new Radical Torpedo. Again, I've never thrown this ball before, so I have no idea what it's going to do. It's a pretty blue. I like it looks kind of like it's hybrid because it's like a multicolor pearl. There's the dark blue and the light blue, and the light blue kind of looks solid, but it's not. It's definitely pearl looking at it. So it's just a multicolor Pearl Asym. So we're going to be throwing this. I've also got my Pearl Theorem and my Black Widow Mania. We'll do some comparisons to those. I have no idea if this one's going to hook more than those, less than those, go longer, earlier, no clue. The layout I use, as you can see above, is 55 by 4 7/8 by 30. This is a very strong layout for me. I generally don't use layouts this strong, but sometimes you just got to say, what the heck? So I'm just going to stand on my feet on 18. This is around where I would start if it was league. This is a completely fresh lane. No shots have been thrown on it, and I haven't thrown this ball before. So let's see what it does. I'm going to look at about 12, which means I'm probably going to hit about 14. So just to the right, probably of the third arrow, and we'll adjust and go from there. Okay, so the motion was actually kind of smooth, I think. I got it in a little bit.
It definitely picked up.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to read in the oil that much because, you know, this bowling center, there's, a flood of oil in the middle, and if you get it in, it just kind of stays there for a while. So
that looked like it almost 4.9.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's stand in the same place, see if I can get it a little further right and see what it does. That's a little better. Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
That red. I thought that was going to go a little longer than it did, and it did not.
That thing peeled off the spot, dude.
Yeah, it hit the dry and it just turned. So, okay. So now we know. So, I'm going to throw one more shot with my feet in that spot, and I'm going to just move my target in a little bit, so kind of where I threw on the first one, and we'll see if it still reads that again. And then we'll start moving left. Actually, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw it in the same place I just did. I'm just going to come up the back with a little more. Maybe
Pin
that.
it down a little bit in the
yeah,
back.
see what happens. All right. Yeah, it's still peeled off the spot, but it rolled a lot heavier in forward in.
Yeah, even then though, it still really wanted to go off.
Yeah. It's an interesting bowling ball right there. It's stronger than it looks. Definitely stronger than I thought it was going to be.
It's that Cohesion Plus.
Yeah, I guess the plus,
really does mean something.
The plus matters, folks. So, I mean, obviously, HK22 has been a very good cover stock for Brunswick since they released it. And the cohesion additive that started with the hammer effect, and they've been using in so much of their balls in all 7 brands, is very responsive. And it looks like this is just plus responsive. So I'm gonna go, let's see, I was standing on 18. I'm just gonna go 4 left. I'm gonna put my foot on 22. I'm gonna move my target 2 left, which means I'll be looking at about 14, so probably hitting about 16 or so. And we'll see what happens here. That thing really does rev up. Okay, so, all right, I'm not sure a lot of times what to expect out of new balls with new cores. That thing I moved in and it looked like it wasn't going to get back, and all of a sudden it just duck hooked left.
It torpedoed back.
It torpedoed it back. All right. Let's try that same shot again. Oh, I got to round that one way too much. Wow. Jesus.
So,
oopsie.
So this is, I'm not gonna lie, the shape that you're getting off the spot reminds me of the original effect. Like when
Really?
that first effect came out, you had the ball, a new Asym core, you had a new cover stock, red in the oil, and then when you saw the dry, it just wanted to go. This one might be a little bit more snappy in the back overall.
I think this one, it just revs up more when it hits when it gets to the back end of the part of the lane and it turns. It feels like the core is doing more in this ball than it did in the effect, I think. So let's throw one more over there. See if we can get another look at it. Wow. It's it hits the spot and it just, it's like, even though it's got a lowerish RG, which is 2.48, which means it should rev up kind of early, it doesn't really look like it's revving up too early off my hand. It looks like it's actually floating to the spot really well, and then all of a sudden the core just takes over and makes it want to rev up.
I'm waiting for Tuesday night Jeff to show up with that thing.
Waiting for league. Yeah, we'll take it out in league. We'll see what it does. But let's see. All right, so I'm gonna go, I guess I'll just go another 4 left, right? So I was on 22, let's go to 26. So I'm putting my foot on 26, move my target another 2 left. So I'm looking at 16, probably hitting about 18. I'm guessing this won't hook enough, but I don't know now. The shape is still the same.
Yeah.
It does need a little dry to get it to turn over, I think. It's almost like it's not like a glass shiny Pearl Asym. It's got a little bit of like
grit to it.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of flavor on that cover. You know, it's not
A little spice.
a little spice, yeah. So it's, I mean, obviously you could take it and you can, put compound on it and polish it up so you can see your reflection in it. But this ball doesn't come out of the box that way. So I'm not sure that it's the preferred method. I mean, if your ball speed's a little slower and you wanted something for heavy oil, but you didn't want like a dull ball, like a Radical Conspiracy or, any of Radical's, high-end stuff like that.
Yeah.
You wanted something that actually gives you a little length if you're maybe a slower player, but still turn. This could be actually really good because it's Pearl, but it's not like glass shiny. It's got a little bit of texture to it, sort of. Not like texture like the Columbia Ricochet, where it's like, with the mica, like where it's actually textured, but it's just, it feels like the cover's got a little bit more grab than a regular Pearl. So, all right, let's try that shot again. I'm gonna throw it a little slower, see if I can get that 10 out. Well, that helped.
Big wheel.
It's interesting, not one of the shots I've thrown has the ball like rolled out or anything. It hits the spot and drives. Yeah, it comes off it really well. So that's good because a lot of people, when they use asymmetric balls and they move left, the ball just kind of rolls out a bit, slows down, loses a lot of its power. So like balls like the Effect or even though the Widowmania, when you get a little too far left, sometimes they don't drive enough because they're asymmetric. They want to use all their energy in one shot. And this one doesn't seem to have a problem with that. All right, I'm gonna throw, I'm gonna keep that speed the same, I'm just gonna move more left. So let's go 2 more left. So 28. I'm gonna look at 17, which means I'm probably gonna hit about somewhere just to the right of the middle arrow. Yeah, that thing ran over the 8-pin from there. It's
What if you bring your target like a board or two left down lane, see what it does?
so you want to keep the speed the same, but move my target in a little bit so I'm not wheeling it to the dry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's see what it does.
See if you get like a tomahawk messenger.
You want a highlight, is that what you want?
Oh, highlight reel, baby.
All right. So my feet are on 28. Instead of looking at 7, what was I looking at? 18? 17. I was looking at 17. All right, let's look at 18. Kept it slow. Is that going to hook? Wow. It still made that turn. It made it a little late. So staying in all that oil, probably not what the ball is meant for. It's not a big heavy oiler. I think playing there when the lanes dry up might be a little, might work. But you can see the ball just kind of turned over just a little late.
Good amount of flare, dude.
Yeah, the differential on this thing is what, 0.054? It's a big flaring ball, and this is a very strong layout for me. This thing flares almost all the way around. Almost. All right, I'm gonna go, let's see, I'm gonna go one more left. 29. See what it does from here. Get it out.
Wow.
Yeah, still coming back.
Wow.
Still coming back. All right, so let's, we're gonna do a couple of comparisons. Like I said, I have a Theorem Pearl and a Widowmania. First, I'm gonna throw this ball one more time. I'm gonna move back to the right. I don't wanna throw either of those two from this deep. So, I'm gonna go back to putting my feet on 22, a more normal part of the lane for a fresh house shot. And we'll throw them from here. That's pretty sweet reaction.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, that's pretty
that
sweet.
One looked really good.
All right, so feet on 22. I'm looking at 14. Probably got it a little too far to the right, but we'll do this. Try to do the same thing on these two.
4 or 5 down lane.
All right. So we'll go with the Black Widow first. I actually just cleaned this ball last night, repolished it up. So
Ball of 2025 question mark?
the ball is really nice looking. So feet on 22. Let's see what happens. Uh-oh, I got that right. Oh, wow. I missed right the same way I missed right with the other one, so it was fair. But you can see it doesn't pick up anywhere near what the Torpedo does. It's actually almost not close. The Torpedo looks like it probably hooks about 3 feet sooner, maybe 2-3 feet sooner.
Yeah, that Widow got a lot farther down lane before I wanted to rev up. And even when it did, it really didn't have that same punch in the back.
Yeah, the Widow's not a big board covering ball, you know?
No.
None of the Widows are. That's not what that cord does.
My Widow works best when my angles are a little more trapped, and I keep it more in front of me.
That was a little better.
There you go.
Yeah, that was a little better. Lost my balance a little, but the you can see it's definitely longer, snappier as far as using its energy. But I feel like it's about 1 or 2 boards weaker than the Torpedo, I want to say. I feel the Torpedo's stronger, but I think the strength is in, it's a little earlier, maybe. No, let's throw one more.
Revs up a pinch sooner.
Yeah, let's see.
I was surprised with the Mania when I first drilled it on how clean it was.
Yes, Mania is very clean. There's the 9-pin.
You gotta do it.
There's
dude.
the 9-pin. That was actually one of the better shots.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Widow's definitely a bit longer. So I'm gonna throw the Torpedo again and see if I can throw that same shot. Let's reset pins.
Yeah, when I drilled the Widow, I actually mapped it out the same as my original effect because it wasn't the same cover stock. And when I tell you the Widow just went like another 2 feet longer.
All right, let's see. All right, so I'm gonna try to do the same thing with this Torpedo. Yeah, as soon as it picked up, it just picked up maybe 2 feet earlier, 3 feet, something in that neighborhood. Absolutely.
That
like
ball
the Widow was pushing through that, and this ball likes oil a little more than the Widow does.
This ball digs.
Yeah, it really does. The Widow seems to rev up easier off my hand, and it just kind of keeps that same rev rate throughout the lane. The Torpedo seems to lope a little more off my hand, but then just rev up more in the back. And when it does that, it makes it read the pattern a little sooner.
But remember,
I think
the Cohesion cover stock in general was made to hit heavy in the oil. That's why the effect rolled so good, was because it was big enough where it grabbed it in the oil, and when you missed right, it responded off the dry too.
Okay, so we've got Theorem Pearl. We'll try that. This is a track Theorem Pearl. So we'll see what this thing does. Whoa. Yeah, that red also. But you can see it straightens out a little more in the back end.
That ball went.
Yeah. So I'm going to move in a little bit because that wasn't even close. All right, so I'm going to move 2 left. Just because. Yeah, the Theorem's a little more forward off the spot. It is a little earlier than the Widow for sure. Maybe a little bigger hooking, but I think that's just because the super low RG and the really high differential in the Theorem from what I remember. It's definitely a ball, but it straightens out more in the back. It's not as continuous as the Torpedo is. And it doesn't have the length that the Mania does. So I'm gonna throw this Torpedo in the same place I just threw that ball. So I had moved 2 left with my feet. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's a little longer and a little loopier for sure. So not as forward in the back. Much more of a, it's much more of a board coverage ball than the Theorem Pearl. And probably the Widow also. So if you're looking for a high-end asymmetric pearl that is a little more of a board coverage type ball, I think this Torpedo is actually going to be pretty good for that. I definitely can see it being more of a stand left, throw right kind of ball, if that's your thing. Whereas Widows are known for their kind of hook and set. You're not really usually going left to right and covering a lot of boards with them. So I'm gonna move another 2 left. Here's the Torpedo. Oh man, I missed right a ton. Oh. Yeah, that should not have hit the head pin. That ball should have went in the gutter. Should not have hit the head pin. That was awful. That was straight awful. You want to throw it one time or two, Jamal? Even though it's not even though it's not drilled for you, the axis is all wrong. I use inserts and you don't.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, throw it just to get a couple of two-hander shots on there, just to see. It might roll completely awful because it's not drilled for you, but I don't know. Maybe it might roll great. Who knows?
Start on 25. Looking at about 14. Get a like 10 down lane.
Yeah, you see,
peeled.
You get that same kind of circle. It doesn't straighten out in the back.
No.
Even though it's not laid out for you. For you, this is probably like a 2-inch pin or something.
I'm actually gonna move 5 left off of that.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
5 and like, I want to go 5 and 2.
Yeah, sure, do it.
So we'll be standing 30. honestly looking about like 16, 17 at the arrows. About like 10, 11 down lane. Yeah. That one was the rounded shape in the back.
Move your target a half a board right. Loop it more. I feel like it'll strike.
Same spot?
Yeah, stay in the same place and just move your eyes about a half a board right. I want to see what happens when you just pitch it right into the dry.
Probably got a 9-pin.
Just 1 second. We have a machine coming through. Beep, beep, comes the lane man.
It's like a Roomba.
Beep, beep. Wave to the camera, Gary. Thanks again, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
All right.
All right.
Meep, 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 meep. All right, so just move your target like a half a board right and see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
It got there, but it was still, it's very rounded.
Throw your widows on the rack, your mania. Throw yours and just stay in the same place. Just throw the exact same shot you just threw, and whatever happens, happens.
For sure, gonna probably leave like a 2-8.
I don't know. I don't say for sure anymore. I have no idea now. The older I get, the less I know. Yeah, didn't even hit the head pin.
Except there was a 4-pin, but I called it.
Didn't even hit the head pin, barely, barely. So definitely the Torpedo, even for you, you see the same thing that I saw.
Yes.
It's maybe a couple of feet earlier, and it's a little more of a loopy kind of ball reaction where it circles more. It's a little more continuous.
It reminds me of like an earlier archetype hybrid.
Yeah, maybe I can see that, with how it kind of lopes through the fronts. But the RG is so much lower.
I'm gonna move 2 back to the right and square up just a pinch. So I'm saying 28, looking at 16. There's a 9-pin.
Yeah, there it is. All right, we're even on 9 pins now. All
right.
Yeah, so you see kind of the same thing that I was seeing, where it definitely grabs a little earlier than the Widowmania. And it's definitely a ball that's going to hook a bit more in oil than most Pearl Asyms. So let's get it together and we will do our wrap up. So we'll be back in a second. All right, so that is our review of the Radical Torpedo. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. We love answering questions and hearing from you guys. Of course, as usual, special thanks to Jamal for joining me. Thanks to the Brands of Brunswick and Genesis Bowling for their support of my channel. Thanks again to Strikers Lanes for letting us come and do our videos here. We appreciate it. And if you would like to know anything about this ball, you can visit radicalbowling.com or just ask in the comments below. And you can also check us out at Facebook, Jeff Teaches Bowling. If you have any questions there, drop by. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Later, guys.